Zoom, we're on it, and we're going to go through basically all the ins and outs of how to use Zoom. So let's get going. So the objective of this presentation, so in this presentation we'll cover, as I said, how to schedule and start your meetings. We will overview all the privacy and security settings within Zoom that you're going to want to know about when you're setting up your own meetings. And then we're going to be reviewing all the in-meeting setting and options you have. So that's all the buttons you can see on your screen perhaps right now. We'll be reviewing what all of those do and how you can use them. Okay, so first we're going to go over kind of the pros and cons of Zoom. So Zoom is a great service. The pros of Zooms are that you can host large group calls, webinars. So the limit in terms of like how many people you can have on a single call, even with a free account, is 100 people. So you can use it for large family gatherings. It's really great for that purpose. It's great for interactive meetings because you can do stuff like screen sharing, as I'm doing right now. Also the chat feature, so you can really have a very interactive meeting. It's also great for like playing games together over because of that kind of feature. It has high call quality, so it means less breakups, especially with higher groups. Sometimes certain apps have a harder time with larger groups in terms of keeping everyone connected and with a high quality call, but Zoom is pretty good with that. And it also has multiple view options, so you can see either one person, the entire group, or sometimes just yourself if you'd like. The cons of Zoom, so there are certain features like the virtual background that aren't accessible to all users. I know a lot of us have been in the position of this guy where the virtual background just completely consumes you and it looks kind of scary. So stuff like that can happen depending on your device. Because there are so many features to Zoom, it means that it can be more complicated to learn. It could take a bit longer to get used to. And so if you're looking for just a simple face-to-face video calling app, Zoom is maybe not the best option for that. It's really great for those big group calls, as I said. Security and data protection. Zoom is getting way better about this, I'll say, and really amping up a lot of their security and safety. But you do have to be aware of security threats on Zoom in terms of people getting into your meeting. But everything we cover today will go over that so you can keep your meetings as safe as possible. Okay. So Zoom features, as I said, so group calls have a maximum of 100 participants, and you have a limit of this is a bit out of order, but you have a limit of 40-minute time limit with the free Zoom account on those group calls. If you're doing a one-on-one call, so that means just you and one other person, those are unlimited. There's no timeout. You can go longer than 40 minutes, and you can do as many of those as you like. We have the easy screen sharing, like I'm doing. Breakout rooms, which you'll get a first-hand experience of later when we do the question periods. That basically means that you can split up the group into different smaller groups, especially if you have a large group. And it works on all Apple, Android devices and computers. So any device you have, you can download Zoom on it and use it. So if you have a smartphone, you can use it on there, on your computer or a tablet. So downloading Zoom. So some of you, probably all of you, have downloaded Zoom, but sometimes you can access it from the internet browser. So if you're not on Zoom in the application, you can download it. So it can be downloaded using your internet browser. So you would go to your internet browser, whether it be Edge, Chrome, Safari, and you would type in zoom.us/download into the address bar. And it will take you to a page where you'll see this. You'll see a giant blue download button, and under something called Zoom Client for Meetings, and you'd click download. It will download onto your computer, and then you'll click it and it will set up on its own. So it will just take you through a couple questions about setting it up, and it should be set up. On a mobile device, so a tablet or a phone, you're going to want to go to your app store. So again, if you're on this on your computer and you want to be able to also use it on your phone or tablet, or vice versa, you can download it on all devices. So on an Android, you'd go to the Google Play Store. On an iPhone or iPad, you would go to the Apple App Store. You'll go in there, there should be a search bar, probably at the top of the screen. If not, you would look for a little magnifying glass, click that, and then you can type in Zoom. And you're gonna wanna download the one that has this logo. That is the Zoom app. You're gonna wanna download it, and it will automatically show up on your home screen, and you can click into it and start using it. So once you have the app downloaded, we're going to go through this mostly with the computer interface. It's going to be very, very similar on a tablet or a phone. So if we have any questions about the differences after, we can go through that, but this will be mostly computer-based. So once you download it, you're going to sign in or sign up for Zoom if you don't yet have an account. So you can sign up by clicking sign up for free, which is right here. And you will be taken to a web page on your web browser to complete the sign up process. It's going to ask you a few things. It will ask you for, I think, your date of birth, your email address, and then you'll have to set up a password and then confirm the password. And it's pretty straightforward from there. It'll give you all the instructions. You can also sign up using your Google account or Facebook account. Those will be linked, though, if you do them. So if you don't want your data being shared across platforms, I would avoid that. But you can do that if you already have a Google or Facebook account. Now, once you are signed up, you will also return to this page to sign in. You'll type in your email address and password and click sign in, and you'd be good to go. So once you are signed in, you'll see this page. This is going to be your home page, and this is the first page you'll always be taken to when you sign into Zoom. And here we have some options about how to use Zoom. So and note this page will look slightly different on the phone. These buttons will be at like the top of the screen rather than kind of right in the center. But they'll be the same buttons with the same icons, so we'll have all the same functions. So you would click New Meeting to start a meeting instantly. That means you click it and then your face pops up on the screen and you can instantly start inviting people to that meeting and start chatting. You would click Join a Meeting if someone else has a meeting you'd like to join, and you'd click that to enter in a meeting ID or else a link to join a meeting. And Schedule allows you to schedule a meeting for later. So say you want to get a call on the books for Thursday at 2 o'clock, you would click that option to do that rather than the New Meeting, which would be the instant version of that. So if you click New Meeting, as I said, you'll be taken into a call. You'll automatically see yourself in your video, and you will want to then invite people. So one of the ways you can do that is by clicking Participants. It'd be at the bottom of your screen. And then in the bottom left, after you click Participants, you'll see a button pop up in the bottom left of a new window that will appear, and it will say Invite. You'll click Invite. And there's a few ways you can invite people. So you can either just tell them what the meeting ID is, which is right up here. If you tell them the meeting ID, they'll be able to use that meeting ID to join your meeting. If the meeting has a password, you're going to want to tell them that as well. It's right down here. Or else you can copy the invite link or copy the invitation. So that will copy it to your clipboard, and you can paste it into an email or else a text message, whatever you want to do. The other thing is you can also email it to people with this. So if you have your email set up on your device, like on your email service, like Outlook or something, you can just click here and it will open up an email that you can send. Or else you can add people from your contacts by clicking this tab and selecting people. And I'll show you in a bit how to add people to your contacts, but that's also an option for inviting people.
Macaulay, could you go a bit slower?
Yeah, for sure. So if you click to Join Meeting, so that was New Meeting, which was this orange button. And if you click Join Meeting, which is this blue button there, you will get this. So this window will pop up. And as we went over in the last one, every meeting will have a meeting ID. So when you're in a meeting, it would be there. And so if someone's given you a meeting ID, you can enter it here, or if they've given you what's called a personal link name, you can also enter that there. So you would just type that into this box and then click join. Note that if you want to connect with your video and audio already on, you click join. But if you don't want to enter the meeting with your audio and video already turned on, you would just click these two boxes to turn them off. So don't connect my audio and turn off my video. That way you can choose when you want it turned on, but it won't automatically be turned on upon entering the meeting. You can also choose your screen name down here if you'd like while you're joining. It will automatically give whatever name you already have on your account, but you can also change it if you want. So if you click schedule, so to review on that home page, schedule is this. You have the little calendar thing. So if you click schedule, you'll be taken to this page. It's like a giant list of settings. And in schedule, this allows you to schedule your own meeting. So there's a few things you can do to customize your meeting. So you can change the topic or the name of the meeting under topic up here. So you would just click there and change the name. It will automatically be named your screen name Zoom meeting. So this one says Cyber Senior Zoom meeting. If Lorianne was making a meeting, it would say Lorianne's Zoom meeting. So it always is going to make that the default name, but you can customize it to whatever you like. You can also choose the date and time right under date here. You can choose to the date and time, and you can choose if it's a recurring meeting. So say this is like a weekly check-in that you do, a weekly meeting, you can click recurring and have it set to schedule every day, every week at the same time, so that you don't have to go back and schedule it over and over and over again. It makes it a bit easier. You can create a password. So if you click require meeting password, it would auto-generate one for you, and then you can change it if you want to customize what the password is. But that's something great to do, especially if you're doing a bigger group meeting where you're sending it out and you want to make sure that no one can get in who you don't know. You can set a password. Video settings. So this just means that if this is on, your video will automatically turn on when you join the meeting. If it's off, it won't. And the same goes for participants. You can choose to have their video automatically turned on or off for when they join the meeting. Audio. So Zoom has, you can either use audio through your device or Zoom has call-in numbers. So you can choose if people are able to join via just computer audio or both telephone and computer audio or just telephone audio, which might make it more accessible to some people who maybe don't have a tablet or a smartphone. They can just call into the meeting if they're unable to use the actual Zoom application, which might be a really good thing if you have friends who are not as tech savvy as all of you are. That's a great option. And then there's more settings in advanced settings, which we'll go over. So advanced settings are really great for making your meeting extra secure. In these advanced settings, we have a couple ones that I'll point out and that we suggest. So enable waiting room. So you'll notice when you came into the meeting today, it said something like, please wait for cyber seniors to allow you into the meeting. Basically, you were in the waiting room and we had to admit you into the room. So it just acts as kind of a second barrier so that you know you can see everyone who's coming in and you can screen them before they enter the actual call. So I would highly suggest that. It's generally always automatically turned on, but make sure you keep it on because it is a really great tool. Join before host. So I would always keep that turned off. That's my suggestion. Basically what it means is that even before you get on the meeting, other people can join, and that stops your ability from being able to screen people through the waiting room. So I would keep that turned off. But if you know that you tend to run late and you don't want other people to be able to get started without you, maybe you enable that so people can join the meeting without you having to be there. Mute participants on entry. That also happened to you. If you'll notice, you had to unmute yourself when you came on this meeting. That just means that people's mics aren't turned on right when they get in. And that helps to stop disruption, especially if people are going to be showing up late. That way they're not making tons of noise when they come in, if you're already like presenting like me. And then there's only authenticated users can join. That means if someone doesn't have a Zoom account, they can't be on your meeting. And then automatically record meeting just means that the meeting will automatically be recorded once it starts. You don't have to manually do it, which will also show you how to do that. So when you're done, you can click schedule. It's right there, and it was also right here. And once you click schedule, the meeting is now saved, and then you will be able to invite people to it. So in order to invite people to your scheduled meeting from the app, you would go to your meetings tab, which is at the top of the screen, and you'll see all your meetings listed. And if you just click on one, you'll get this page. So this is Cyber Seniors Tech Session video calling. And you can copy the invitation. So that will copy all the info from the meeting, and then you can paste that into an email and send it. And then you can also just show the meeting invitation, which will show you all the details, and you can just copy and paste different aspects of it. So if you just want to send them the meeting ID, you don't want to send them the whole email that's like super long, you can just go to show the meeting invitation and see all the details for yourself. That's especially helpful if, say, you're phoning someone to give them the details of the meeting because they don't really look at their email or something. That's how you can see all the details for yourself.
Sorry, Macaulay, they're asking for you to slow down again.
Oh, sorry, guys. So yeah, again, scheduling a meeting, you would go through all these settings and simply click schedule. Once your meeting is scheduled, it will be on the home page, on your Zoom app. It will be under this meeting tab, which you should see at the top of the screen when you sign in. You'd click that. All your meetings are listed. You can click one and copy the invitation, or else show the meeting invitation details in order to invite people. But yeah. So before we had gone over how you can, when you're in a meeting, you can invite contacts. In order to invite contacts, you'd have to add them first to your Zoom account. So in order to do so, you're going to click the Contacts tab at the top of your screen, right next to Meetings. So you'd click Contacts. You would see in there, you'd see it's quite a small button, but you'd see this plus sign button. You'd click that, and then this window will appear. You can enter the email address of the person you would like to invite, and then click add. So they'll have to accept your contact invitation, and then you can start inviting them to meetings really easily. So if you were to go in from when you had created a meeting, say, and done this, if you click contacts, they would just be listed there, and all you would have to do is click on their name, and it would automatically send them all the meeting details that you want to send them. So that's a really handy tool. If someone has a Zoom account, you can add them to it, and it just makes them easier to attach to your meetings rather than having to copy the invitation, go to your text messages, or go to your email and send it that way.
So for copy invitation, sorry, that was in an earlier slide.
Mm-hmm.
I just
Right.
wanted to see where it was.
Yeah, so in your meetings, if you click on a session, or sorry, on a meeting you have, and it would be right in there. So under the meetings tab, you click on the name of the meeting you're trying to get the invitation for, and then you'll see a copy invitation button. So you'll notice these weird smileys. That's because the day I did this, I hadn't taken a shower, so I covered my face. So I know it's a bit odd. All those, we're going to go through all the buttons within your Zoom meeting. So you're probably seeing, whether you're on your computer or you're on a phone or tablet, you're probably seeing all these buttons now. They're located at the bottom and the top of your screen. So we're going to go through what all those buttons do. So first, the stop and start video option. So when you join a meeting, if you want to stop your video, you would just have to click stop. When this is turned off, it will say start video, and there'll be a red line through it, and you would click that to start your video. So it's just a click of a button, and it will turn it on and off for you to do that. So, and that's usually located at the bottom of your screen. On a phone or tablet, you might have to tap your screen first to bring up the buttons, because sometimes they disappear when you're like inactive or not actively touching the screen. So sometimes you have to tap for those to appear for you, and they will, and then you can use them. So adjusting video settings, this is just for if you're on your computer, that's not really a possibility for a tablet or a phone. You could just kind of turn your camera on and off. But if you're on your computer, right next to the video start video button, you'll see a little arrow. And from here, you can select what camera you want to use. So if you have, so right now, was mine. So this is my FaceTime HD camera. It's my front-facing camera on my computer. But you can also, if there's other cameras attached to your device, you can select those. This is also where you would choose a virtual background. So as we were talking about earlier, the people who have like a beach in the background, or else I have like a Cyber Seniors logoed background, you would click there, and then a screen would pop up and you'd be able to choose from different preset backgrounds, or else you would be able to click a plus button and add your own pictures. But again, like we said, some devices aren't set up to do that, so it would depend from device to device, from device to device. So you'd have to be aware of that. That in a phone or a tablet is located at the bottom of your screen. You'll see more, and if you click more, you'll see choose a virtual background there, and that's where you can select a virtual background from on a phone or tablet. You can also adjust more video setting, advanced video settings if you'd like. But we're not going to get too into those. But if you want to change certain things about maybe the quality of your video and stuff like that, you would go there. Mute microphone. So like we said, like the video, there's a mute option. And it looks like a little microphone, and you can mute it or unmute it to stop or start what people can hear from you. That doesn't mean that you can't hear them. It just means that people can't hear you. So if you have a lot of noise going on in the background, you might want to do that so that not everyone's hearing it. When you first join a meeting, in fact, actually, this might look, and you're not connected to audio, this might look like a pair of headphones, and it will say join audio. Every now and then, if your audio is not connected, you're going to have to click join audio, and then it will turn into the microphone that says mute or unmute. But that's right there, and that's how you can control how you can be heard, and if you can be heard in the application. So again, these settings not so accessible on a phone or tablet, but on the computer. If you want to get more into your audio settings, you can click the little arrow next to that microphone mute button. And from here, you can choose your microphone. So if you have like a pair of headphones plugged in that have a microphone attached to them, they would appear here, as well as your built-in microphone, and you can choose which one you use. If your computer microphone's kind of crappy, you might want to, and you have a plug-in, you might want to use that one instead. And the same goes for speaker. If ever you have like headphones plugged in or something and you can't hear, it might just be that your speaker settings are selected to built-in output rather than some sort of plugged-in pair of headphones that you have. So you're going to want to make sure that those are selected properly. You can also test your speaker and microphone here. So if you're unsure if it's working, if people have been saying, I can't hear you, you can test them, and you can make sure that it's in fact, a problem with your audio hardware and not maybe a connectivity issue by testing your speaker and microphone. You can switch to phone audio by calling in. Again, if your mic is not working very well or your speakers aren't, you can switch. And then you can also choose to leave computer audio, which is different than muting. That means you completely leave the audio altogether and it's not connected. And then there's more advanced audio settings too, if you'd like to get into them. Speaker view and gallery view. So if you're on a computer, in the top right hand of your screen, you will either see a button that says gallery view or speaker view. It's going to differ depending on which one you're in. If you're in gallery view, you'll see the option to switch to speaker view. If you're in speaker view, likewise. Gallery view basically just means that you can see everyone on the call all at once. So everyone's a little image and you can see all of them. Speaker view just means that you can only see the active speaker at any given time. The active speaker is whoever's talking. Zoom will pick up the sound from their mic and determine that they should be featured as the image that you're seeing. And you'll see one person at a time. Except for right now, because I'm sharing my screen, you're just seeing the screen sharing option rather than people's faces necessarily. Note, on a mobile device, you can get different views by swiping right and left on your screen. So there's no actual button on a phone or a tablet. You just have to swipe the screen and you can toggle through all the different view options you have in Zoom. Flip camera. So this is exclusive to if you have a tablet or a phone. So as you know, if you have a tablet or a phone, you have a front-facing camera and a back-facing camera. This button should be located in the top left-hand corner of your screen, and you can click it to switch your camera from front to back. So if there's something in front of you you want to share, maybe you're looking at a beautiful sunset and you want to share it with the person you're on a Zoom call with, you can click that to flip the camera back and forth. And again, only available on mobile devices, so tablets and phones. Managing participants if you're the host. So as you'll see at the bottom of your screen, there will be a participants button. So you can see everyone who's on the call, and you can see all their names will be listed. If you're the host, this button will say manage participants. And what this does is it allows you, again, to see everyone's name, and it allows you to say take certain actions with individuals on the call. So if you were to see someone's name, you would see more right next to them, and you could click that. And when you click more, you can do a few things. You can stop their video, or else if it's off, so you can ask them to turn on their video. The same goes for audio. If they're muted, you can ask them to unmute. If they're unmuted, you can just mute them. You can make them a host, which basically means that you remove any hosting privileges that you have and give them entirely to them, and you're no longer the host. Or you can make them a co-host, which means they have some of the hosting privileges that you have, but not all of them, and you're both hosting at the same time so that you don't lose any of the controls you have. You both just have the same ones. You can rename them. You can put them back into the waiting room. So if you let them in, but then you realize, oh no, it's too soon, I need to put them back, you can just put them back. Or you can remove them altogether if they're being disruptive and you don't want them in your meeting anymore. You can just click remove and they'll be taken out of the meeting. Yeah. Sharing your screen. So this is available both on computers and mobile devices now. I don't think it was necessarily before mobile devices, but it is now. So sharing your screen allows others to see your computer screen, so what you're seeing. So exactly what I'm doing right now, I'm sharing my screen. So in order to do so, you would click this green share screen button. You should all see it. You can't do it right now in this meeting because I've set it so only I can share my screen, only Lorianne and I can share. But you would click it, and on a computer, this pop-up would appear, this big window, and you'd have a few options for sharing. So you could choose your desktop, which would basically show your entire screen as you see it, or you can choose specific windows you have open. So at the time when I took this picture of my screen, I had Google Chrome open and Finder, so I could choose just a specific window to share. So if I don't want them to see everything on my screen, but just one window that's open, you could select that. There's also great options for a whiteboard, which basically means that you could basically write. So actually, I'll show you right now. So if I chose whiteboard, you would get this big screen, and I could like write stuff. Great option to play something like Pictionary with friends on Zoom, if that's something you're interested in. Yeah, so there's that. And then in advanced, there's an option to share just a portion of your screen. So you can like select like half of your screen to share and stuff like that. But that's the basics of screen sharing. On your phone, it's going to look a bit different. You'll click it and you'll be able to share certain things. But the main one that you'd only ever use is really screen, and you can use that to show exactly what you're doing on your phone. The only thing with a mobile device or phone is it tends to be a bit more laggy than it is on the computer, I have found personally. So that's just something to be aware of when screen sharing on a mobile device. Adjusting sharing options. So like I said, you can't share on this meeting because I changed the sharing settings. So to do so and again, only available on the computer version of Zoom, If you wanted to adjust your screen sharing options, you'd click the little arrow right next to screen share, share screen. And from here, you'll get this little menu that appears. You can change it from one participant can share at a time to multiple participants can share at a time. Right now we have it at one, so no one else could share except for me. If you had multiple, a couple people could be sharing at the same time. That would show up in smaller windows because of that. And if you click advanced sharing options, you'd get this window to open. And from here, again, same thing. You can change the one participant, multiple participant options, but you can also change who can share. So right now, our settings are only host or all participants. Especially if you're hosting a larger meeting, I would definitely recommend making it only host so that not everyone can just share their screen willy-nilly. You can control who can, and it makes it a bit more secure. And these settings only apply if you have all participants sharing at once. Breakout rooms. So we're going to be going into breakout rooms later as we discussed. Breakout rooms just basically allow you to make smaller groups in your meeting. So if you have a large meeting and you want to break out into smaller groups to be able to actually chat more easily, you can do that. So on the bottom of your screen, and it might not be there if you don't have it set up yet, and we'll show you how to set it up on the web browser page. You'd click breakout rooms. This window would appear. You have the option to do automatic or manual. Automatic means that they would just randomly assign people to breakout rooms. Manually, you'd have to select people to add. You could go here to select how many breakout rooms you want. It can be like basically a number depending on how many people you have though. And then you would click create breakout rooms. If you did click manual, you would see the breakout rooms listed and you would click the assign button. And from there, you would add individuals to each room. Once you've created your breakout rooms and you're satisfied with them, you can click open all rooms and they'll open and people will be able to join them. When you create breakout rooms, they're not automatically open, so you can create them at the beginning of the meeting and then wait till maybe later on to open them. You also have the option to always add another room if you realize that you made too few. Or you can delete a room if you realize you made too many. Meeting security. So if you created your meeting and you were not satisfied with the security settings you set, you can always change them while in your meeting. You don't always have to do it in advance. So on your computer, you would see the security button. So you would click that on a mobile, a tablet or a phone, you would click the more button and meeting settings in order to get to your security settings. And from here, you can lock the meeting. That means no one else is allowed to join the meeting. So say you said your meeting was going to start at 3, and then after 3 o'clock, you don't want anyone else coming in and disrupting. You can lock it so no new people can come in. You can, from here, enable or disable waiting rooms, and you can enable, disable screen sharing, chat, and renaming of people, so people can't change their own name. Reactions. This is a fun one to use great for interaction. So if you are on your computer, you'll see a button that says reactions, and you have two options. You can either do a hand clap or a thumbs up, and that will just show up kind of next to your video, like on top of your video, and people can see that you reacted that. Note that this is located again in the more section on your phone. So click, it's in the bottom right. It says more ... That's where these reactions are located in there, and they'll just be at the top. You'll see the hand clapping and the thumbs up. Chat. So people are already making use of the chat. So this just allows you to have text conversation with people while the meeting is happening. It's great for asking questions without having to be disruptive and stuff like that. So you can choose to message within the chat option. You can choose to message the entire group or someone privately. But I will note that if the meeting is recorded, like this one, if you do message someone privately, it will show up in the transcript of the meeting chat after. So whoever the host is can see what you've written in the chat privately. So it's private in the moment, but not private overall. The host can always go back and see what was written in the chat. Record meeting. So you can record your meeting by clicking record at the bottom of your screen. This is located in the more section again of the phone or tablet app. You'd click more and then record to the cloud. But on your computer, you have two options. You have record on this computer or record to the cloud. Recording to the computer just means the file saved directly onto your hard drive. Record to the cloud saves the video to the Zoom server, which you can download from the web portal, which we'll review at the end of this. We'll do a live demo of what that looks like. And finally, when you are done having a meeting, you can either click end meeting or leave meeting. If you're the host, it will say end. If you're not, you're just a participant, it will say leave. It will be located in the top right corner of your phone or tablet and the bottom right corner of your computer. And yeah. Finally, there are some accessibility settings, though I'll say they're not fully, I think, fleshed out yet for Zoom, but they're working on them. But one of the things is some people do closed captioning. That's quite difficult to do, but that's an option. And to access accessibility settings, you would go to the very top of your screen, you would go to zoom.us, like the very top left corner, click preferences, and then you would click accessibility. The accessibility button looks like this. Again, you can turn on or off closed captioning. You can have the meeting controls always shown. So as we talked about, like sometimes the meetings controls will disappear on you and you have to like move your mouse to bring them back up. If you click that, they'll never drop down and disappear. They'll always be visible. And then lastly, you can change the chat display size. So if you're in the chat and the font size is too small for you, you can make that bigger so it's easier to read. Zoom plan. So everything we went over is accessible in the free version of Zoom, but there are some benefits to a paid version if you're using Zoom a lot, specifically if you're using Zoom for a lot of group meetings, big group meetings. So in the free versions we went over, you can host up to 100 participants, but at a limit of 40 minutes. You get unlimited one-on-ones and stuff like that, and some support. Once you start paying, you can have unlimited group meet, like unlimited timed out group meetings, so they don't shut off after 40 minutes. And then you get a lot of more admin feature controls and more storage for your recordings and stuff like that. So for most people, I think the free plan is perfectly adequate. But again, if you're doing a lot of meetings, you could look into more settings there. Okay. So now we're going to take a tour of the web portal. As I said, allows you to access a lot more of settings than you would be able to on the actual downloaded app. So like I said, you'd go to zoom.us. And then once you're here, I'm already signed in, but if you weren't signed in, this would say sign in and you could click it, but I am, so I'll just click my account. And when you click to my account, you'll first be brought to your profile. Here you can see your personal meeting ID, your sign-up email, and if you want to change your sign-up email, you can click edit here. And you can see the user type you have, your meeting capacity, all that kind of stuff. You can change your profile picture from here. So if you wanted to add a photo, you could click change. It would bring up your files, and you could select a photo from your computer. Under the meeting setting, so we went over how to start meetings from the actual app. You could also do it from the web portal. So you'd go to meetings, you could click schedule a new meeting, and it has the exact same options you saw from the app as well. So naming your meeting, yeah, you can add a description here, the time, is it recurring or not? Is register actually this one you can add registration, so if you want people to register like you had to register for today's meeting, you could make that required, and all of that stuff, for the most part the same exact stuff that you would see on the app. You can also from here see any meetings that you've had. So we have, say, we'll go to TikTok, you could access a meeting that's coming up if you want to change any of the settings for it. You could click into it, and then anywhere where it says edit, you could say edit this meeting, and you'd be able to change all the settings over again. You could also view any previous meetings. So if you want to go back and say you had a big meeting and you wanted to see uh, when it was, you could remember, you could go there. If you had people register, you could go and see everyone who had registered for the meeting by going down here and clicking view. So those are the meeting settings, and there's a lot to do here. It does have a bit more than the app does, but yeah. Webinars, you'd have to pay for that. So if you were using webinars, that's just a different feature they have that would be there. The other thing I want to put your attention to is recording. So if you did record something and you did the recording to the cloud, it would be located here. You could see all your cloud recordings that you've had, or you can see all the ones that are in your trash. These are all the recordings of basically all the sessions we've done. Lastly, the thing I want to show you is settings. So if you go to settings, you're able to switch your meeting settings. You can make permanent switches to your meeting settings. So basically, there's certain settings you can change within each meeting you schedule. But if you want to make changes so like every meeting has those settings automatically on or off, you would go here. So in meeting settings, you could look at the security settings. You could look at the scheduling meeting settings, same things we went over. In meeting settings, so again, we could turn off chat if we wanted. Not going to actually do it. You could turn on or off private chat, on or off file transfer, which I recommend you keep off so people can't be sending files to each other over it if you're having a big meeting, especially. On or off co-hosting and stuff like that, screen sharing. Advanced in meeting settings would be turning on and off breakout rooms. So if you do want to make use of breakout rooms, it will be automatically turned off. You have to go into the web browser version of this and go into these in meeting advanced settings, and you can turn breakout rooms on and off from here. And once you press on, you may have to shut down Zoom and then turn it back on your computer, and then the button will then appear to create breakout rooms within your meeting. If you're not seeing it right now, that's how you would do that. The same goes for like virtual backgrounds here. And yeah, so those are all your settings. There's lots of stuff to play around with here, user management stuff as well. We won't get too far into that. But if ever there's settings that you can't find on the actual application and you want to get in and change, this is where you would locate all of those settings.